If you want to know what's wrong with this world, it's the Jews. The Jews are the reason for all the evil in this world. I'm going to finally do a video about the Jews and the people who talk about the Jews. And as is often the case, the muddle-headed pack mentality on both sides annoys me to no end. So I'm going to cover both sides. Now I'm going to start with something I pointed out about a million bazillion times, which is that individuals deserve credit or blame for what they do. Groups don't. So to say, those people did this thing, and because they belong to that category, I'm going to say that category did something nasty. Like when people say, the Jews did X. All of them, they all got to, all however many million there are, all got together and did that. No, but the ones who did it were Jewish. Okay, but that's not what the Jews implies. It's like saying the men did that nasty thing. Well, what are you talking about? Well, a few men went and did something nasty. What do you call it? The men. Like, some men did that. I didn't do it. Don't friggin' blame me. And don't blame everybody else who happens to be in that category for what a subset, a very small subset of that category did. That's stupid. And it's very common. And it's especially common among the people who talk about the Jews did this or did that. You know, they want to blame a category of people for everything wrong with the world. Now, the flip side of that exact same stupid pack mentality is people who basically say, well, we believe in the whole group thing, but you're not allowed to criticize anybody Jewish because that counts as being anti-Semitic and criticizing the whole group. So, for example, anybody who criticizes the state of Israel, there are some that say, oh, you're obviously anti-Semitic. No, if I'm criticizing evil, violent bastards who happen to be Jewish, it's not because they're Jewish. I absolutely bash the state of Israel. The state of Israel is a bunch of evil, terroristic, murderous psychos with a lot in common with the American terroristic psychos. I oppose the state of Israel because it's a state. That means a government. That means an authoritarian, violent, parasitical ruling class. Doesn't matter what it's made up of, what color they are, what religion they say they believe in. That is inherently immoral. So absolutely, I will bash the state of Israel to no end. And anybody who says, well, that must be because you don't like Jews, is playing the exact same pack mentality game as the people who actually say, the Jews did this, when what they mean is approximately 0% of Jews went and did something nasty, and for some reason we're going to blame the whole category. And I know for myself, I don't particularly want to be blamed for everything that men do, or everything that white people do, or everything that Americans do. I want blame or credit for what I do, and same thing with every other individual on the planet. But most people think in terms of these packs. Now, okay, here's where we're going to get to the part where no doubt some people are going to complain about something I didn't say and didn't mean and didn't imply. So if you're going to complain, at least complain about what I actually say. Right now, yes, there is absolutely, among the evil control freaks at the top pulling the strings of most of the governments in the world, there is absolutely a disproportionate number of Jews. In other words, of the people at the top, especially in financial institutions and the banking cartels that basically pull the strings of all the governments in the world, a lot of them are Jewish, way more than the percentage of the population is Jewish. Now, for those of you who don't understand mathematics, saying most of A are also B does not mean most of B are also A. If a tiny percentage of some group does something nasty, but all of the people doing that thing are in that group, it still doesn't mean anything about the whole group, the group as a whole. So why is that? Now, some people want to say, well, it's because Jews are evil. The pack mentality comes out and they say, I want to blame that category of people. It's not a Jewish thing. It's a human thing. There have been, and there are so many examples of the pack mentality and the chosen people mentality. They don't always use that exact wording, but it's been everywhere. It's been all over the place throughout all of human history. In fact, that going away is a fairly recent development, going away in a lot of places, not going away entirely, obviously. But some people will point to like the Talmud and stuff and say, well, this teaches them that they're the chosen people. They're more important. They're better than the rest of the world. And therefore, they're allowed to victimize other people and mistreat other people and blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't know enough about the Talmud. People can argue about scripture all they want. I don't know and don't care what the proper translation of it is, because this is a human thing. It shows up all over the freaking place, in all sorts of cultures, in all sorts of religions. The mentality that our group is best, and therefore it matters less what happens to you who are outside of our group. You know, obviously the Aryan, the Nazis, saying we're the best, we're the chosen people. Some of them, I think, even use that phrase, but it doesn't matter whether they use that exact phrase. We're allowed to stomp on everybody else because, well, frankly, we're superior. And it's happened all over the place. You know, now people point, look, the Jews are in power. How, when it was the Roman Catholic Church? Was it the Christians? Christians are all like this because the evil bastards at the top call themselves Christians. No, maybe it's just evil bastards that happen to belong to a category, or say they do, with the mentality that they should have the right to victimize everybody else. And by the way, if you look, it's in their scripture, it's in the Talmud, it says, go read Deuteronomy 13. It says, if you're not a Christian, if they're not Christians, go murder them all. Now, most Christians, A, don't know it says that in the Bible, and B, would say, well, whatever, like, we don't really believe that. We don't think that, like, that was either commands for an old time, and now because of the New Testament, we don't, but whatever. I don't care about their reason for it. What I care is most Christians don't think that way. They don't think, yeah, I can mistreat and kill anybody who doesn't believe in the God I believe in. Just as most Jews don't think it's okay to rob and murder people. And of course people will point to, you know, argue over the scripture. Well, this says they're allowed to. Yeah, so does Deuteronomy 13 say Christians are allowed to do that. And of course this isn't unique to the West either. The mentality of we're superior and we get to beat up on you. It's been all over the place. Look over in Asia and what happened around World War II with the Chinese government, what individuals acting on behalf of the Chinese authority did to, of the Japanese authority, their ruling class did to the Chinese people. And meanwhile, the mentality is often back and forth. The other side thinks, no, we're totally superior and you're these evil, violent animals. This is just sort of human nature. It's not a good aspect of human nature, and a lot of people are now outgrowing it. And there's people who, you know, there's black people who say black people are supreme and we're the super race, and there's white people who say it, and there's Japanese and Chinese, and everybody has said it. Every group, every religion, every nationality has the version of this pack mentality, and often there will be a subset of that group that's willing to be openly violent against anyone outside of their little pack. Now, I think a really good indication that humanity is actually evolving is that people's field of empathy is expanding. It used to be, hey, I care about my family or my little tribe, and if you're outside of that, I'll just kill you and steal your stuff. I don't care. What are you? I don't know you. You're nothing. You're just something for me to use up. And luckily, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, that's been going away as people expand it more and more. Well, now my neighbors, you know, and a bunch of Christianity is built on the idea of do unto others as you would have done unto you. And it doesn't just mean in your family. And even love your enemy. Holy smokes, that talk about spreading empathy. That guy who hates me, maybe I should see him as a person and care about him too. Like, wow, that's a giant leap in the mentality, getting over collectivism and pack mentality and expanding empathy to everybody else, including people who don't look like you and they don't talk like you and they don't believe what you believe and all these things that aren't in common, but you still recognize them as people and say and realize they shouldn't be victimized either. So now I'll throw in this thing, which I'm sure will offend some people. Why is it that Jews are a disproportionate number of the evil bastards at the very top these days? And I don't even mean the governments. I mean mostly the banking institutions that basically own the governments, but also inside like the U.S. government, at least way more positions are filled by Jews than is the percentage of Jews of the population. So why is that? And the easy excuse is because they're extra evil. No, it's because their culture happens to emphasize things like, you know, financial foresight, being good with money. You know, there's often a chunk of truth behind these cliches. And Jews being good with money. The problem is, if you have a group and then the subset of the group are evil bastards trying to take over the world, if that group, if their skill set includes being good with money, the subset is probably going to own the frickin' world sooner or later. Whereas if you have a group and they have the same pack mentality and there's the same subset of nasty bastards and their skill set is just like physical violence, well, you can't really rule the whole world by a little clan of people who know physical violence. It used to be easier, but now people have guns and stuff, and communication doesn't work as well. But if the group, if the culture, if the society happens to emphasize planning and financial stuff, and then you get evil people in that group who use those skills to own the world, that's why a bunch of them are now disproportionately at the top. It isn't because Jews are extra evil. If anything, that's like a weird, twisted compliment is, well, they're good at that thing. As a general rule, it doesn't mean they all are, but generally speaking, they're good at financial stuff. And when you get some of them who are evil and good at financial stuff, because there's some evil bastards in every group in the world, the people who are good at financial stuff and evil are probably going to end up ruling the world. And they did. But it doesn't mean Jews are evil. It doesn't mean that any bigger proportion of them are nasty and devious. It just means, well, they happen to have a skill set that got them to the top of the power structure as it exists now, mainly by way of the monetary policy, basically faking people out with paper money that's backed by nothing and that whole fun charade. But it's a people thing. It's a people thing that among almost any group, there are people who think, well, I care about my group and I don't really give a crap about others and I can oppress them and beat them up and they don't really matter as much. And some will go all the way to they're not even human. It doesn't matter at all what we do to them. The Nazis obviously had that mentality pretty openly and obviously. But I'm going to end with something ultimately ironic, which is the main group that's talking about the Jews are the problem with everybody, with everything. It's the white nationalists. It's white nationalist Americans, also white supremacists. It's not just in America, but that's the main group that'll talk about that. What is so ironic about that is they are absolutely complaining about their mirror image. White nationalists, demographic category, political category, pack mentality, pack mentality. Their entire agenda is our group is more important. We should be looking out for our group. The rest of the world, you don't really matter as much. If some terrorist kills 2 or 3 white Americans, we're simply outraged. If the U.S. military kills 100,000 brown civilians on the other side of the world, meh, whatever, collateral damage. That is exactly the evil mentality that they're trying to project onto all Jews. Now again, a subset of Jews absolutely has that, just like a subset of almost every group has that. The power-happy evil bastards who are like, I don't give a crap about anybody else, I'll do whatever I want and serve my little group. Whether it's my little group of insiders, or my culture, my religion, my town, my family, because you get the Rockefellers and Rothschilds and stuff who are all about serving their family. Again, it's not even all the Rockefellers and Rothschilds. I don't know them all individually. But their dynasties are obviously about keeping their own power. And so, but the ultimate irony is that it's white nationalists bitching about this when they do the exact same thing. They don't give a crap about brown people. You're not us. You're not American. We're going to build a big wall, and we're going to shoot you if you try to come across. And we're going to send bombers to the other side of the world and blow you up because we're superior and we're American. We're the chosen people. What does that sound like? It sounds like you're a total frickin' hypocrite. So most of the people who talk about the Jews being the problem are the problem just as much as that subset of Jews or evil bastards at the top, because they have the exact same mentality. And they appointed the exact same frickin' mentality in the Orange Fuhrer and Donald Trump, who is absolutely a violent pack mentality, control freak, chosen people douchebag. They are arguing at their reflection. They are condemning their mirror image and they're too frickin' stupid to notice. What is the solution? Stop crediting or blaming categories of people. Stop advocating violence against categories of people, including immigrants, including foreigners, including brown people, including anybody. Stop thinking in terms of groups and collectives. Think in terms of individuals. And force is justified only in defense against individual aggressors. And it's only justified to stop that aggression. And that's the only way we get past this stupid pack mentality where you have two stupid packs of stupid pack mentality idiots shooting each other because they both think they're the chosen people. You're not the chosen people if you're inflicting violent aggression on somebody else. You're an evil piece of crap. The actual chosen people, what humanity is supposed to be, is the people who actually advocate and live by the concepts of peaceful coexistence, of non-aggression, of self-ownership, of voluntary, consensual interaction among everybody, every individual, of every race, every color, every nation, every creed, every whatever you can think of. That is the answer, both to those scary subset of Jews that we're all scared about in power, and to the stupid white nationalists who want white power, and everybody else, the blacks who want black power, and the Japanese who think they should rule the world, and I don't know how many of them there are anymore. But this stupid mentality that your pack should be in charge. No, it shouldn't. Every individual, regardless of any other demographic category he belongs to, every individual should be in charge of himself. And unless and until most of humanity figures that out and starts acting accordingly, we're going to keep seeing this stupid spectacle of pack mentality violence, and it'll always be people bitching at and shooting at their exact mirror image because they say, we're superior, we're better, our interests come first, and you're evil for thinking that you're superior and you're better and your interests come first. You hypocritical doofuses. Every individual owns himself, period, the end.